What's going on, everybody? It's DotBets. We're checking back in. We have the divisional playoff on the dot episode coming at you guys here on the Gold Boys Network. As always, I'm here with at SideKickPicks. How are we feeling on this beautiful afternoon?
Doing good. Ready to tackle today's slate. We had a
Yeah,
pretty good show last week, so hopefully we
yeah. You went.
continue this week.
What'd you do? 3-1 last week.
hmm
I went the goose egg 0-4. So
Yours were
let's.
close though.
Oh, I
It's like a
was.
few yards shy here and there.
I was disgusted after Eckler happened on Saturday night. I was like, this won't go well. And then Osborne catches a freaking touchdown for me, which is awesome because it helped me cash that stupid touchdown parlay that I had. But then he just was like non-existent after that. I'm like,
Yeah.
what in the world are we doing? So we are gonna get after it. As always, we'll go over the DFS slate, and we're gonna go. It's gonna be the 4-game slate. So we're gonna talk about the 2 games today, 2 games tomorrow, and we're gonna tie it all together. You can on DraftKings, they've only done it where it's the 4-game slate. On FanDuel, you can split it up. So if you do have any Saturday slate specifics, make sure you guys hit us up in the chat. As always, if you guys have any questions on that, we'll go over some top stacks, some guys that we can play as sleepers to get a little bit different to go up those leaderboards. And then we got a couple props, and we'll throw out an anytime touchdown, and we got a best bet as well. We'll mainly go through each game since we got 4 here. We'll do that for the DFS purposes. We'll say like kind of what lets you guys know. We got a couple that we will probably lean on and maybe haven't pulled the trigger on just yet. So overall, what do you think about these 4 games we got?
Yeah. I think we're gonna see some fireworks. I really like the matchups that we're gonna get this weekend. San Fran and Dallas should be a good one, and I'm excited to see the Philly and Giants. I think anything can happen this weekend.
I'm I'm very excited for these 4 games. I think to love they've on DraftKings specifically, their pricing is a little bit more softer than normal because I think they want to have a little bit more of the public enjoy building lineups. Then you had Juju in the mix is very, very cheap. You got a bunch of those Giants receivers that are very cheap. So we'll talk about some different strategies that we'll go through. But yeah, the week is going to be Cincy, Buffalo tomorrow afternoon. Very excited to watch that. But I think this Giants Eagles game tonight is going to be elite.
Yeah.
I think the Giants. And you spread currently, I've seen that one go from like 51.5 all the way up to 53. It's kind of bounced around all week. Some people think it's going to be very, very high scoring. I'm, on the other hand, I think it's going to be a little bit more low scoring than maybe the public would think. I'm just betting that there's just not going to be too much of the Jaguars production. Probably like 30 point S. Can we get below that? Can we get 20 out of them? 23 potentially. But I think that's their ceiling. I don't think it's going to be crazy. But I do like that stack this round just because of the pure volume. And we can put that up on the screen here with that first stack. Lawrence, because he's so cheap, and then you have Zay Jones and Christian Kirk and Kelsey running it back with Kelsey and McKinnon. So on these 4-game slates, you can end up going back to that 3-1. You can go to a 3-2 stack or 4-0, 4-1-ish. I think the 4-0 and the 4-1 is very, very I would go very, very low ownership on those. I would stick to maybe the 3-by-1s and 3-by-2s because you're going to get we have a lot of pieces that we can get in this week. If it's a 2-game slate on FanDuel, make sure that you are going 4x2s and 4x1s because you're going to target one specific game in order to get up there in the leaderboards. But Lawrence, Zay Jones, and Kirk have a great matchup against this Chiefs defense. We'll have a lot of volume. I do not expect Trevor to throw 4 picks in the first quarter again. That was kind of fluky. Had a couple bad breaks with the receiver dropping one, a tip at the line. But then on the other side, you have a lot of options for the Chiefs to come back with. And I think Kelsey's the most reliable. McKinnon has been the most reliable running back. Plus, he's caught the most touchdowns recently. I'm going to go after the touchdowns here. If you wanted to get a little bit different, maybe take McKinnon out and maybe go with Valdez Scantling or Juju, one of those two. But then you have Tony, then you have Sky Moore in the mix. So it's a ever revolving door there in KC. It's very, very tough to pinpoint. So that's why I like pinpointing this the Jaguars side and just hoping that I get McKinnon and Kelsey right. You got a stance on this particular game on how to stack it?
Yeah, this is probably my favorite stack as well. The only difference I would have is I think you got to work Travis Etienne in somewhere, just because Kansas City struggles against the run, and we really only have a few running backs to choose from, and I think his value is going to be one of the highest this weekend. So, in terms of running back on my projections, he's the second best value pick that you can get um, in terms of cost to points. So he's projected 16.5, but could hit 23.2, which is right there at the top. And I think you nailed it with McKinnon. McKinnon is fourth on my list. So that would be the only change that, I mean, you could go Mahomes, but again, you're going to get pretty expensive. So, like, if you did go Mahomes, you could take Travis Kelce out, which I don't know if I would do just because I think Kelsey's going to go off. I think his reception total is at 7.5 today. But you could put Ingram in there in replace of him if you wanted to play Mahomes, who I think Mahomes goes off today. But Ingram has a good value spot. He's about $3,000 cheaper than Kelsey, so just a little different way that you could stack this one.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, you could definitely differentiate this stack and go Lawrence, Kirk, Etienne, Lawrence, Kirk, Ingram, or Lawrence, Etienne, Ingram, and you have Marvin Jones as well. I mean, this Jaguars offense is very, very nice, and you've seen it kind of funnel towards Zay and Kirk recently. And then you have Ingram catching a lot of passes. So definitely can see this game putting points up. And I'm not going to say that if it goes over, I would be shocked. I just do think that could be a potential Chiefs under home game where they get up pretty big and then they run it with Pacheco. Mahomes scrambles, extends drives. I could see that particular game. And then you have to have Trevor coming back, passing a ton. A couple other ones that I'm thinking about stacking is the Eagles 3x1. And that is mainly the Giants just are horrible against passing and against the receivers, especially tight ends. So you're sitting there. You got Hurts, you got Goddard, you have AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. You can pick three. Hurts and then Goddard and AJ Brown. You come back with Barkley. You come back with either Richie James. You come back with Hodgins. You come back with Slayton. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that you can do in that game. I just don't know if that game is going to be shootout material. I think this Giants team is potential to play spoiler. What do you think about the Giants this afternoon or tonight?
They've been playing really good. So, and this is game 3 that they've played here in like a span of a month. So, I think it's going to be tighter than people think. Jalen Hurts scares me just a little bit because of his injury, but he's probably going to play the entire time and ball out. But Daniel Jones wouldn't be a bad pick if you are looking at this game just because of his production over the past few weeks. And last week, I mean, what did he score in the 30s? He's had like 3 straight games in the
Yeah, yeah.
30-point range. So on
I
my board, he has the second best value in terms of cost to production at 5,800 bucks. But the weapons on that Eagle side just makes it too enticing to pass up.
I just think Daniel Jones. It's hard for him to get to a 3-by-1 stack and be optimal
Right.
because he doesn't
And
throw
Philly's
that
defense is
much.
so good.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I could see him rushing the ball 10 plus times today on those design runs that they're just kind of try to stick it to the Eagles, how the Eagles have stuck it to the league the entire season.
Right.
And I think they have a pretty good game plan. I think Barkley can go nuclear today. Absolutely have a big, big game. I think that's the only way for the Giants to do well is if they can attack them on the ground very well. Um, but I mean, if I'm going to go stack that Giant side, you got to go Hodgins and you have to go a Slayton or Richie James. I think
Slayton looked
probably out
really
of those,
good last week. See,
besides that last drop, and everybody
yeah.
plays that last drop, and you're like, oh no, he's been their best receiver probably last half of the season.
See, Richie James has really good value, but I'm just afraid he's kind of getting passed on with Hodgins kind of emerging and Slayton back in the mix. So I'm kind of off of Richie James. So I would tend to lean on Hodgins and Slayton a little bit more if you're going to stack it.
Yeah. We got a comment here. It says contrarian piece for that game. How would you avoid it? Let me know what you mean there on what game we're talking about to get contrarian. I'll let you know. But then, yeah, I mean, then you got Bellinger as a tight end for them, who's there. I just think attacking this game, you have to go the Eagles side
Yeah.
if you're going to be optimal. If you're going to get up there in the 1%, you really got to go and get it right with this Eagles side, and then hopefully you come back with with the right Giant receiver or with Barkley. And also, it's for the Giants contrarian piece. So if you want to get crazy contrarian, you got to go Bellinger because this tight end slate is absolutely loaded and not he'll be very very low owned. Do I think he's going to have a great game? It's tough to say, but then I would probably go either Hodgins or Richie James
He's got
to Slayton.
he's got to catch a
Contrarian.
touchdown in order
Yeah,
to make it worthwhile. Um, Other than that, he's probably going to get around 20 yards.
yeah, exactly. He just doesn't have too much volume in the game, and I don't think the Giants want to have too much passing volume in this game. Keep the game low scoring, keep it close, and keep the Eagles' offense off the field. So that's where I think that game plan for the Giants is. I could be completely wrong, and Daniel Jones throws for 300 plus, but I just don't see that tonight. So we'll go to tomorrow's games. Cincy and Buffalo. I, if you want to stack both sides of this game, I do not have a problem with that. Like, there's no one going to complain about that. There's so many pieces of this game that you can stack. I tend to lean to the Bengals side here. I'm going with the dog, hoping that they play from behind. But if you watch that game, that was in Cincy for that first half of the first quarter. Burrow was determined. Burrow wants to get this W here, and he came out firing. So I think his pass attempts is going to be a pretty good bet to look at, and I think Higgins could get in the end zone. Chase. Also, I really like a sleeper pick of Boyd in that game. If the pressure can get to him, I think Boyd is going to get several little dump off receptions and could have that big game. I also like Mixon's receiving yards in that game. If they can get pressure to Joe, then they have to dump it off and do all that. Then obviously you come back with Diggs or Gabe Davis or Dawson Knox. I think I'm going to leave Cole Beasley off and McKenzie. I think Cole Beasley was kind of fluky last week. I'm going to ride with Gabe Davis, who continues to get touchdowns in the postseason. So give me some Gabe Davis there. What do you think about that particular game?
I actually really like stacking this game, but I would stack it on the Bills side, just because I like their weapons a little bit more, and I like Josh Allen more because of his ability to run and get a rushing touchdown, which will get you a little bit more points. I would stack it with Diggs, Davis, and you could go Knox. I like Knox a lot for a tight end in this weekend slate. 5 straight games with a touchdown. He's going to be boom or bust, kind of like Bellinger, but I think he's going to be more productive just because they like to look in his direction in the red zone. And then I would come back with, I mean, Jamar Chase is primed for a huge game, so I think you kind of have to play Chase. And I like Higgins a lot too. So I don't know if I would touch. Um, oh, I don't know if I would touch Joe Mixon. I don't know. I just get like a weird vibe with the Bengals, which leaves me a little worried. And I think Josh Allen got his bad game out of the way. I just see the Bills kind of rolling. So I like Chase a lot, though. I would come back with him.
Yeah, that total 48.5 for that Sunday afternoon game. I mean, it's a rematch from that game that got shortened from Hamlin getting hurt and injured. But I mean, man, that first half of that first quarter, the Bengals were out for they were out for to get after it and beat up on the Bills. They were very very determined. I don't know if they can repeat that. Bills have a lot of momentum coming into this game, and the Bengals they almost screwed it up last week and didn't get
Right.
it by the Ravens. So, but maybe they could be looking ahead to this game. And but no, I can't complain. I can't debate anybody else if you're gonna stack either side of this game. I just tend to lean to the Bengals. And Burrow has seen his pass attempts increase with Higgins and Chase. So give me all the Bengals there. We got a comment here. Better separator from the field, Allen or Hurts? Let me look at ownership.
I have Allen at 22.1 and
Yep.
Hurts at 17.5.
Yeah, that's pretty close to what I got. So I mean, if you can get a little bit more different, go with the lower owned guy here in Jalen Hurts, which I think has a higher ceiling with his rushing output. I know both of them do rush, but I think if you put them up together, I would probably bet Hurts' rush yards over compared to Josh Allen's.
Yeah.
Um,
I
but
almost
yeah,
bet it.
did you?
Yeah. I just think the line was right there.
I
So I stayed away.
I think so. I actually took all four of the quarterbacks today over
Did you?
rush yards for all four of them. Just threw them all together in a parlay and said, "Hey, you know what? Let's let it ride." So if anybody's watching out there, you can go ahead and do that. I went ahead and personally played it. But yeah, I would lean to Hurts there to separate from the field just because it's a little bit lower owned. I think you can get a little bit more points today. And then the last game for the 49ers Cowboys. This is a great matchup.
It
And
is.
I tend to think that the Cowboys can keep this game close. Mattress Mac thinks they are going to win. What do you think on this game? If they're going to keep it close, do you want to stack the Cowboys here?
See, I'm kind of torn on it. It could be like a very low scoring game, or it could be a shootout. Um, so I don't know what I want to do with it. And both sides have really good offenses,
Yep.
and both sides have really good defenses. So it could go
Mhm.
either way. Um, I don't know. I think I know the 49ers play really good defense against tight ends, so that kind of eliminates Dalton,
Mhm.
Schultz here. So you probably want to lean. I think you want to lean the 49ers in this one. It's just whether or not you
Yeah.
trust Brock Purdy to do it again.
I'll say, does Purdy get it done one more time? Are you? I would. I'm not trusting him in any of my DFS lineups. I think last week you saw a big ceiling game from him. All around great game from the 49ers. And I did say if that game goes over, there's going to be a lot of plays after catch that they just exploded. You saw Debo just go absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Yards after catch. Kittle went absolutely nuts. CMC was running all over the place. You even had Eli Mitchell going everywhere. So
Well,
they
and
just
the Cowboys take away the run, whereas
yep.
you know
Yeah.
the
And
49ers take away the run. So I don't know. It's just gonna be a kind of a weird game, and I don't have a really good read
That
on it.
that's why I feel like this game could be a potential sneaky game. With it being the late game, a lot of people aren't going to necessarily stack this game. They'll stack the Jaguars Chiefs game. They'll stack the Giants. They'll go the Bengals Bills game. Let this game kind of have a one off in between in there. So if you do want to get a little bit different, I think this could be a sneaky stack where it's a little bit lower owned. And the one of the comments here says Kittle question mark. He is the biggest leverage spot in this slate. The biggest one that I can see at the tight end position that is just absolutely loaded. He's getting sub 5% ownership. So if you want to say, hey, Kittle has been dominant as of late, I think this continues even in a tough matchup here against the Cowboys defense. You can definitely play that angle and gain leverage on the field that route. So that's the biggest leverage piece I think I can see on this slate. Or the other way you can go about it is if you pay up for running backs and go cheaper receivers, or and then you can get Kittle in there for sure. So
Yeah, I think
Kittle's
the
a
reason
great
why
leverage spot.
Kittle's only 5% is his price. He's the second
Yeah.
highest price tight end.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah,
think a lot of people are buying low on Dawson Knox and Goddard and Ingram here.
yeah, because I mean, I'm looking at their props right here. So Ayuk is like 55 and a half, Kittle's 46 and a half, Debo's 46 and a half or 56 and a half. So I mean, they're all pretty right there, but like Debo is having a bunch of ownership, then you have Ayuk having a little bit more ownership, and then just Kittle because the tight end is just getting sub 5. And I still think his production could be there. Um, let's see, he's caught 2 or more touchdowns in 3 of the last 5 games and scored a touchdown in 4 of his last 5. I know that the Cowboys defense is pretty tough against tight ends, but I love that leverage play there. Let me see. I have 30% Kittle in my lineups right now, and if he's sub 5%, that's a lot of overweight on the
Yeah.
field. So I'm with you there on Kittle being the best leverage play in the slate, and hoping to be right here. And maybe some people say, hey, I'm going to play Kelsey, I'm going to play Goddard, I'm going to play Knox or Schultz, and just forget about Kittle and just don't want to pay up for him. So yeah, great spot there for Kittle. But I would lean to, if I'm going to have to stack this game, I would lean Dallas side because I trust Dak a lot more. He was elite last week, elite. Like that, if you get that out of Dak, you have a chance to win the Super Bowl every single week. He's just very inconsistent. So
Yeah.
we can see if we can repeat it this week. That's the main question. But I mean, if he plays like that, it's very, very tough to beat this Cowboys team. I think that he can repeat it. Very, very tough here defensively against the 49ers. But you stack him up with Pollard, you stack him up with Lamb. You can lean Schultz here, but I actually like Michael Gallup this week. So he's another sleeper pick for me. Michael Gallup, sub, I think 6% or 7%, if I remember right. I'll look shortly. But I really, really like what I'm seeing out of Gallup. And I think he can get a touchdown with 40 or 50 yards here and be very, very good value play. So give me Michael Gallup. I can pair him with Lamb, or you can pair him with Pollard with those Cowboy stacks.
You touching Zeke at all?
No, I'm off of Zeke. I,
1.7 ownership.
I, yeah, I just don't see how he gets there because he's Pollard. They're going to ride Pollard and catching passes. I mean, that's just not what Zeke does. Pollard's going to have to be in there for his explosiveness, I think. What do you think? Do you like Zeke?
I don't like any running backs from Dallas this week. I just think San Fran does a really nice job taking that away.
Yeah, I mean, the only way you're going to get something out of Pollard is just he has those explosive plays, and
Yeah.
he's
Breaks
explosive
one off.
playmaker. Yep, and he breaks one. All of a sudden, you don't see a hole. You think there's no hole, and then boom, he breaks off a 70-yarder. So I'm going to play that angle with Pollard, but I think the best way to go about it is Gallup and Lamb. T.Y. Hilton, man, he can catch a deep ball, but that's all you're going to get out of him. You're not going to get much else. Gallup is going to be on the field a lot more than T.Y. Hilton. I think he's the better option to go there. Let me see what his ownership is currently.
Ty or Gallup?
Ty is like sub 2%.
Yeah,
Gallup.
I got him at 5.6.
Let me search. Yeah, 5 right there. So yeah, I'm good with Gallup. So the two main pivot or three main pivots that I would say are one is Kittle, two is Michael Gallup, and then three would be Tyler Boyd from the Bengals. So those are three pivots that you can just pair in there or run it back on the backside of a stack with one of those three, and you'll be completely different from the field, and you should not get uh, any duplicate lineups from that standpoint. Um, I don't think there's anything else from DFS side. Anything else you think we need to cover?
No, I think I like those three sleepers that we put out. They could have a pretty big game, and it's really low ownership. So I think we did a pretty nice job with tackling that. You like Miles Sanders at all this week? I know the Giants kind of get torn up on the ground a little bit. You like
And
any Eagles running backs?
I think if it's going to be anybody, it's going to be Jalen Hurts. And Boston Scott apparently scores a lot against this Giants team in his career. You can play his anytime touchdown if you'd like. For a DFS standpoint, I'm probably fading Miles Sanders or anybody in the backfield for the Eagles team. I'm thinking Hurts is just going to put the team on his back, and I'm going to play either Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, or Goddard in those stacks, and just game script wise, thinking the Giants will keep it close, and they have to pass it a little bit more than expected currently.
Yeah, that Boston Scott play wouldn't be a bad one. 10 touchdowns in 8 games.
Is that what he's got against
Yeah,
the Giants?
yeah.
Yeah. So I can definitely see it, and then I want to see what his ownership is for Scott.
I got him at
I mean,
0%.
yeah, like he's going to be literally below 1 or 2%. And somebody more than likely going to play that is either 150 maxing or a hardcore Eagles fan that is just going to try to get lucky. Definitely think there is better options on the slate. But I'll echo to wrap this all up. But I will echo that ETN is probably the best overall running back on the slate. If you want to play him in those stacks, if you want to play him outside, I took him out of that stack for passing production to go through the roof for ceiling wise with Lawrence. So that's where I went with that. But no, I'm okay with ETN. And then I'm going to go with Pollard though, because I know you don't like those Cowboys, but I just think that Pollard has the ability to break one off and take it to the house or have a big game through the air. All right. So if you guys have any other questions about DFS, let us know in the comments. Oh, he said defenses, so we can go over defenses real quick. My favorite defense is going to be the Bengals, and mainly the reason for that is Josh Allen has just been a turnover machine lately, and the way that they've been going about it, I I I can see him throwing a pick six. So I'm going on that route. Bengals at $2,400 on DK. They're coming in at about 15% ownership. So it's everyone's going to go towards the Bills or the Chiefs. So who do you think defensively? Who do you like?
I kind of like the Niners.
There you go.
The only thing I don't like about them is their price. So, but I think they get a couple turnovers on Dak today or tomorrow. So
I could say.
kind
I
of
mean,
like
hey,
that.
I can't argue that Dak might turn the damn ball over because
Yeah.
he's prone for that.
See, the Eagles wouldn't
Um,
be a bad pick because that game's going to be so low scoring, I think. Um, but I don't see a turnover from the Giants. So
it has to be like a fumble or something. I just
yeah,
don't think. Yeah, I think they're going to play pretty solid.
Daniel Jones been pretty good, um, keeping
Yeah, I think
keeping onto that ball. So
that Bills. It's very tough too because then you could just see Joe shredding them and throwing very very well against them, and all of a sudden they're up, they're winning, and the Bills defense is kind of has negative points or zero, the lowest scoring points for you. My favorite angle is the Bengals, And then I'll piggyback there on the 49ers. But if you're stacking that Cowboys game and you have Cowboys as your stack, do not put the
Right.
49ers
Yep.
as your defense. So, yeah, that's DFS 101. Just do not, you want to make sure you don't limit your ceiling there. And so if you're going to go against your stack, do not do that with your defense. All right, good question there. So that'll wrap up the DFS. We'll go back through the games, but we'll go through like a prop that if we have one from the game. So let's start with the first game of today, which starts shortly. We got Jacksonville, KC. Any props that you're looking at in particular, if you've taken already,
Yeah.
or a personal play?
So my first prop is actually from this game, and I'm taking Patrick Mahomes over 310.5 passing yards. He's hit this in just about 60% of his games, 70% in the last 10. He's averaging 308 yards a game, so it's right there. The last time they played Jacksonville, he had 331. So really like Patrick Mahomes today. I think this is a good spot for him. I saw it at 309.5 on DraftKings, but it was minus 125. So I'll just take the extra yard and bite. And I don't want to pay that juice. I'll just take a yard. So I like him. I also like Chiefs first half. I think it's minus 5.5 or 5. I can see the Chiefs getting off to a good start, and Jacksonville could potentially do what they did last week. I don't think they will, but I think the Chiefs will come out swinging.
And I think you can get this Mahomes play on Barstool, I think at 307.5. So if you guys are line shopping out there, you can definitely get that at Barstool.
What's the juice on it?
I do not know that off the top of my head. Looks like
Minus
it's minus,
113.
yeah, minus 113. There it is.
So I would take that then, obviously.
Yeah. If you find that out, if you got a Barstool account, definitely do that. What do you think of his longest pass completion it's like 38.5.
You're the
I
long rush, long completion guy, so that's on you.
I'm I'm a big fan of it. Cause he always throws the ball deep, and you got to make sure he's gonna get it. Or you have Kelsey running over the dang middle, breaks a tackle, boom, 40, 50 yard completion there. I mean, it just happens. So I I would tend to lean to his longest pass yard over 38.5. He did have when they played back earlier this season, he did have a 46-yard completion on that one. So. And
There
he's
were a
hit that
couple.
in 7 of 9.
There were a couple props I was looking at. I kind of wanted to pick your brain on it. Um,
Mhm.
so if you go to game leaders on DraftKings, what do you think about Kelsey? Most receiving yards in the game, plus 110.
What is Kirk's?
Kirk is plus 450.
See, so if I'm thinking from the game script of, hey, this is gonna be a negative game script, Kirk's gonna have a lot more volume than potentially Kelsey, and I think plus 450 I would lean to Kirk. But I know that Kelsey's in a great matchup. He just has not.
Yeah.
They could just be double teaming him, and plus 110 isn't. I don't think. I mean, I don't blame you if you take that. I would probably go more towards Christian Kirk there.
I was thinking of like sprinkling on both.
Good. Yeah.
And they even have like a race to X amount of rushing yards too that I kind of like Etienne at.
ETN. Yeah. I liked his receiving yards too for obviously the game script purposes that I'm thinking in my head. But then, so I'm surprised I didn't go this angle for the show, but I got burned on it last week with Eckler. You could mimic the same exact arguments to go to McKinnon here, but it's just a different spread. Different. I think it's gonna be a different atmosphere. Last week they were home or they were away favorites. The Chargers were, but it was like 2.5. So I thought the game was going to be close. The game was just out of the hand in the first half. It was 24-0, 27-0. And then as they were coming back, the game was off from the get go with the 4 picks in the first half or first quarter. So you could go back to that angle here with McKinnon, but then you got to think they're close to double-digit favorites. How much passing production is going to go to McKinnon? Because usually it's if they get to him or whatnot, and then they have to dump it off, or if it's dump off screen. So I just I stayed off of it. I can't complain if anybody out there wants to take Jerick McKinnon's over receiving yards. I just stayed off of it because I got burned with it last week. Any other plays you like from this game?
No, I think the head-to-head matchups are kind of interesting. I've
Mm-hmm.
just been kind of playing around with them a little bit. Like you got Christian Kirk that's minus 11.5 paired up against Juju, which I kind of like.
Yeah.
You could do Zay Jones or Zay Jones against MVS, which is -8. I don't know if I like that one, but
Hmm.
they're interesting.
Yeah.
I think that Kirk one's
So
not
yeah, if
bad.
you guys do have any other questions over any props you guys are thinking about as we discuss each game, let us know in the comments. We'll definitely give you guys our advice on which way we would take that. So let's move to the Giants Eagles game. What do you like in this particular the game tonight, prop wise?
All right, I got a bet for this one. I'm going with Graham Gano over 5.5 kicking points. Um, he's averaging 7 a game. He's he's right there with it. I think I can see the Giants struggling to score touchdowns, which is why I really like him for these field goals here. Um, yeah, I just think it's a good spot. I'm trying to get a little different because I think the lines today are a little sharp. So I think this kicking prop is a good one to kind of target. If they do get a touchdown, we get extra points unless they pull a Dallas move here. But I think we see at least 2 field goals from them, and we get the over here.
Yeah, I'm gonna trust you here on this one. I don't look at kicker props very often, so I'm just gonna ride with you here. What is it? Just kicking points. So if
Yeah.
they kick a field goal, that's 3.
Yep.
Extra points 1. All right. So just the viewers out there, if you have not ventured out into the kicker prop world, definitely how it can happen. So yeah, what does he hit that? 4 of his last 5,
Yeah.
or yeah, 4 of last 5. Definitely could take that. I'm leaning towards. So I have the best bet in this game, which I'll wait till the end here. But I'll give a couple other leans that I was on. I would not argue with anybody if you want to take AJ Brown's receiving yards. It's just he's been very, very efficient in this 2 meetings with this against this Giants defense. Limited to like 3 or 4 catches a game, and usually he gets a lot more than that to get to his 70 something yards. He just has had some big completions. So I think from putting a play out there perspective, I just was like, he'd have to have the perfect amount of yards after catch or yards per catch to have it. I just thought it was too sharp, and I stayed off it. But I do not mind if anybody's going to take it. He's in a good matchup. I would tend to lean to Devontae Smith or Dallas Goedert. And then on the Giants side, I said this on the DFS side, I love Barkley's receiving yards. He's just been a beast through this whole time that this Giants team has kind of got back together here and got after it. He's hit over 20, around 30 plus in 3 of his last 4. And he's seen his reception totals 5, 2, 5, 8, 2, and 5. So I mean, his production has been through the roof. He has been literally this offense for him. Him and Daniel Jones has been it, and I think they're gonna have to be that big part again. So I would not be hesitant to take Saquon's receiving yards here.
I don't mind Smith over 5.5 receptions either. Like again, I think that line is tight, but
Yeah,
at +100, it could be worth a shot. He had where is it? He's hit it in the last 3 games, 7,
mm-hmm.
9, 8. And he had 7 against the Giants the last time. And the first game they played, he had 5 on 8 targets.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he's had at least 5 in 6 straight
yeah,
games. I mean,
yeah,
he's definitely involved, and I think that's where they're going to try to get a little bit more production out of Smith or someone over the middle. as with Goddard as well. Um, but then again, I also like these quarterbacks rush yards. I like Daniel Jones over rushing attempts, as I think they're going to have a little bit more designed runs for them. But yeah, uh, I mean, who for Hodgins, Slayton, or Richie James? Which one do you like out of the three to, I would say, hit over their receiving yards?
Slayton.
Slayton, yeah. I see. It's been a kind of a hit or miss. The only time So last week, Hodgins had 105 and Slayton had 88. Otherwise, it's like one hits and one doesn't. One hits, one
Right.
doesn't. So it's really, really tough. I'm probably going to lean to Richie James because I think they give up a lot more in the slot than they do to Slayton or Hodgins on the outside. So I mean, pick your poison there. We're just kind of talking out of the top of our brains there.
Are they all at
But yeah,
49 and a half?
they're riding like mid 40s. Like Hodgins
Yeah.
like 42, Slayton's 46 and a half, and James is at 45 and a half. It's all right there.
Yeah.
So even the books are just like, hey, we have no idea which one's gonna end up. So you guys go ahead and bet whichever one you want. All right, so that's all props there. I'm thinking of what do you got for Cincy Buffalo?
I actually don't have a prop for this. Again, I just think it's a hard game to kind of tackle. I don't like any other rushing props. I lean more towards Chase having a big game. I saw, I think it was JD posted something that Jamar Chase, leading receiver, was like plus 800 or something like that. So I kind of like that a little bit. I can see Diggs getting his receptions. I think he's at 6.5. I think they target him early and often in that last matchup. Um, he had two right out the gate. So I can see them kind of having the same game plan. And he's always a target hog, so I don't mind playing Diggs receptions any week. But I think, I mean, your Boyd um, pick here might be a good play too, if
He's
you like him as a sleeper.
projected 40 and a half or receiving yards. I like his receptions over 3.5. I'm okay with taking that. I think that he's going to have over the middle, or if they get any pressure to Joe, he's going to have to get the ball out. That's why I lean Mixon receiving yards and Boyd's over 3.5 receptions as well. And then if you want to take Joe Burrow's pass attempts, I'll be right there with you. But yeah, the Buffalo side's the hardest thing in my book to cap because obviously Diggs and Davis should get theirs, but then is is Cook going to be able to run the football? I have no idea. Singletary is going to be in there taking snaps. Then you have Beasley and McKenzie. It's just, and then you have Knox in there. It's just a very, very tough
Yeah.
offense to predict currently. Obviously, if you want to go Diggs and Davis over receiving yards, can't complain there. But yeah, overall on the Buffalo side, I just think it's a little bit difficult. But the Cincy side, I'm gonna target Boyd, Mixon, and then if you want to take anytime touchdown in this game, I'm okay with Higgins because I've seen him at plus 200, and I think that's a pretty good value there for a big time receiver in a big time game for plus 200. But yeah, Burrow pass attempts would be the way to go as well. All right, and we'll go to the last game, 49ers Dallas. So what do you got in that one?
Another kicking prop.
Of course, I love it.
I almost bet, is it Bayer or Mayer, the Dallas guy? Redemption.
Oh
I almost
God,
went him,
yeah.
but I'm going Robbie Gold over 7.5, at -110. This guy, one of the best kickers in the league. He's hit it in four straight. Um, yeah, I just think, he gets there, whether they're scoring touchdowns and he's kicking extra points, and then he gets a field goal somewhere, or he hits two field goals and he gets a touchdown on the extra point.
Mhm.
I just think we're right there with it. Like that spot. He's averaging 8 a game, so 7.5.
I'm good
Robbie
with that. I
Gold.
think he is probably. I don't even know why I feel like he's underrated, but I mean, every time he kicks the dang football, I feel like it goes to dang uprights. So yeah, I'm good with Robbie Gold over was it 7.5. Well, so I didn't even realize he had that many against Seattle, but they did put up a lot of points.
They
So
did.
uh, can't
So
complain there. I actually
I
have
can see it being
what's up?
like a tight game and him just field goals back and forth. So
Yep, could see it. And then if I'm taking a kicking match against Gold or Maurer, I'm gonna go with Gold currently.
see, I wanted to
Uh,
take CMC's over 35.5 receiving yards, but 30 is the sweet spot. I
yeah,
think 35 is just right there at his max.
right. All right, I'm gonna go with my first official play, and that is going to be Dak Prescott over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I was I thought this is going to be a little bit more juice than it was because you're not going to be able to run the football against this 49ers team. They're going to have to throw the football. And the last 4 or 5 weeks, he's had a 77% completion rate in or 77, 77, 71, then a 38 game against the Washington Commanders, and then a 76%. So he's completing over 70% of passes in 4 of his last 5 games. And as you guys can see in this graph here, he has hit this in 4 of the last 5 and hit this a ton this season. And he fresh off a 4 passing touchdown game. I don't see how he doesn't have the confidence to come into this game, hostile environment again on the road, and get it done and pass the football into touchdowns over for 2 times basically. And I think Schulte gets one. I think Gallup could potentially get one, and then I also think Lamb could get one. So I could see 3+ here today or tomorrow night, and I really think this Cowboys team is a little bit more prepared than a lot of people think to compete against this 49ers team, and I would not be surprised if they pull this victory out. So give me Dak over 1.5 passing touchdowns, -108 over on FanDuel.
I actually like that
All
play.
right.
I thought that was a pretty good find on your end. So
Thanks, man.
you
So we
like you
got,
like Purdy over 1.5? I almost went back to the well.
was he's done that in what, 7 straight?
Yeah.
Yeah, 7 straight. And and he had 3 back-to-back. I mean, that's the way that they're going to attack it because they both can't run the football against each other. They're going to have to do it. But I put my money on Dak, who I've seen do it a little bit more than Brock Purdy, and I think his streak comes to an end here. I would say that.
Okay.
And I did have a same game parlay for the Jacksonville KC game. So if he wants to throw it on the screen here, I forgot to mention that as we were going through that. But plus 125, we got Lawrence and Mahomes over an alternate line, passing yards, and then Kirk and Kelsey over I think 50+. Or no, this is the anytime touchdowns. No, we can do that. We can do the anytime touchdown. That's fine. Here is what we got. All good, man. All good. We'll all right. Let's just do this the same game for the touchdowns. So Chase, Goddard, Juju, CeeDee, and George Kittle. So this is the one I threw together before the show. Threw it in here. I'm gonna go against the grain with Kittle, but I think Lamb could get one. Juju, big receiver over the middle. Think we can get that there. And then obviously Chase in the game tomorrow. Would you add anybody to that? Take anybody out? What do you think?
I don't know if I would add any more to it, but I do have a couple leans on touchdowns. I just haven't locked anything in.
Let me hear them.
Um, Jalen Hurts is always a good option for a touchdown. And I kind of want to ride the wave with Dawson Knox.
Yep.
He's plus 200 for
He
a
scored in
touchdown.
2 in a row? What's he
5.
done? 5 in a row.
5 in a
Hello.
row.
I definitely, I think, have him in one of my parlays for sure. Yeah, he has scored in 5 in a row. God dang. I like that. And he's plus 200, right?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. But yeah, so we have anything else we want to? Oh, we got best bet. Best bet. How could I forget? We're gonna go back to the Giants Eagles game this evening, and we are gonna go with Dallas Goddard for over his receiving yards. And as you guys have always seen me, it was 49.5 on DK, but I've seen this as high as like 56 at some books. Really love the matchup here against the Giants, who get exploited by tight ends, specifically named TJ Hawkinson. But Hawkinson went for 129 and then 109 against him twice this season. But then you've seen other big time. You've had, who was it? Gallup won against him. But yeah, the tight end position has been exploited, especially recently against these guys. So give me Dallas Goddard over 49.5 at minus 130 on DK. I don't know if that line is still up. I'm going to check it currently. I got this earlier. It is. So yeah, we're good at over 49.5 minus 130 on DK. I didn't know if it went up to the 50.5 range there. But yeah, I think on FanDuel, I think it's currently around mid 50s. So good, decent line shop here. A little bit more juice than I would like to have, but I'm going to go with Dallas Goddard here to catch for 50 plus receiving yards. And I like Smith as well. I'm just going to go with the Old Faithful here with Dallas Goddard.
Yeah, I love that play. Goddard's been a guy we've been targeting all year. Good chemistry with Jalen Hurts too. If you wanted to play it a little safer, and you like Devontae Smith, which this is a play I'm probably going to take, and I really like this play. It's Dallas Goedert over 34.5 receiving yards and Devontae Smith over 49.5 receiving yards, and that's at minus 105.
Ew, I like it. Mr. King SGP. I'm gonna always tail whenever you have an SGP in there. So you keep throwing those out there. I'll keep tailing them. All right. Any time touchdowns that you might throw out there? Any other last minute plays you maybe forgot about as we were going through it? We threw a lot of information at you guys. So make sure you guys check us out in the Discord if you guys have any questions. And as always, make sure you guys use code OnTheDot at props.cash for 25% off your monthly subscription. And make sure you guys download Pickett Sports app and use code GOLDBOYS. You guys can easily track your picks there and easily line shop as well. So make sure you guys sign up at both of those particular softwares for us. So with that, we're going to get up on out of here. Bunch of information thrown at you guys. So we appreciate you guys tuning in each and every week. We'll be back here same time next week. We appreciate you guys tuning in. See you guys.